On Locked On Rockies, we can ask ourselves the question, did the Rockies get better?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of 2022. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Rockies talk, breaking down the team from the front office all the way down to the minor leagues. I'll be bringing you Rockies coverage all season long, and we're going to be super excited to have you all along for the ride. So please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies, and like and rate on your favorite streaming service. Today on Locked On Rockies, well, what else are we going to talk about? Who are these new Rockies? Let's take a look at the moves the Rockies have made. The Trevor Story era official, as most of us knew, over in Colorado. A couple of veteran arms here to make a spot for the rotation to fill in for John Gray, and a couple of an outfielder and a new shortstop. So lots to talk about today on the Locked On Rockies podcast. So hang around here and join us as we're going to dive in and start talking about the position players the Rockies have added first, as the Rockies have, this is it. The Trevor Story era in Colorado is officially done. Jose Iglesias is going to be the Rockies' new shortstop for at least this year, as he's signed for a 1-year, $5 million deal. Let's head over to Purple Row, what the Rockies are getting in Jose Iglesias by Robert Walgreen over here on Purple Row. We are reading from yesterday's article. So last Thursday, we had the most notable baseball news since December. The league and players union had reached an agreement and the lockout was over. Immediately following the news was a flurry of additional notable news. Kershaw back to the Dodgers, Gray to the Twins, Cruz to the Nats. That shows no sign of letting up until the dust has settled. The Rockies, attempting to keep pace with the competition, made some moves on their own, signing outfielder Scott Shedler, reliever Alex Colome, and infielder Jose Iglesias. Iglesias fills the hole of the soon-to-be officially departed Trevor Story. In the media coverage of the signing, Iglesias has been described as a veteran glove-first shortstop, and slick fielding, all of which are merited for a player who makes plays like this with two great video examples. But as noted in Evan Lang's coverage of the signing for Purple Row, as well as coverage by other outlets, the defensive numbers from Iglesias in 2021 did not line up with his sterling reputation nor career numbers, to put it mildly. He was worth negative 1.4 WAR, WAR, however you like to say it, via defense alone in 2021, finishing last in the league in defensive runs saved and ultimate zone rating for qualified, while putting up a career worst 16 errors. This all from the same player who led the American League shortstops in fielding percentage in 2016 and 2017, as well as being a top 10 shortstop all-time in the same category, as well as second for active shortstops. So what went wrong for Iglesias in 2021? Of his 16 errors, 10 were of the throwing variety, also a career worst total. Upon video review of these 10 gives Rockies fans good news, however. Many of his throwing errors look to be the result of having a first baseman who has trouble with the short hop on the receiving end, rather than Iglesias developing the yips or constantly airmailing throws. There's plenty more, and I don't want to take all away from the writing over there. So I highly encourage you to go read the rest of the piece. But that's the good picture, and that's what we need to realize with the Rockies coming in with Jose Iglesias. I don't necessarily know how to say if I don't like or like this move, but the defensive setback worries me. 16 errors, and again, we do get the benefit of the doubt that there was some bad first base play, but I do worry about that regression. However, bouncing around on a couple of teams, being in a weird spot, Colorado is kind of a place to go to rebuild your confidence, and Iglesias could see a benefit from just being somewhere that I don't expect him to replace Trevor Story and his abilities as a shortstop, both on offense and defense. However, just play a fine enough defense. Don't be the last in the league in defensive run saves. Don't be negative 1.4 WAR. That's what worries me about the signing. And again, the offense, I don't think you're not going to get Jose Iglesias coming in here and he's going to dominate on offense. However, one thing I did want to point out from the article on the Iglesias Again, we're going back to Purple Rose, what the Rockies are getting in Jose Iglesias by Robert Walgren. On the other side of the ball, Iglesias finishes 2021 on an absolute tear after signing with the Red Sox following his release by the Angels. Down the stretch, Iglesias batted 350 this is his line, 356, 406, 508, while striking out just 9 times in 23 games. His hit tool has been viewed as mostly forgettable throughout his career, especially when compared to his traditionally stout defense. But he's consistently shown an ability to make contact, landing in the league-wide top 10 for at-bats per strikeout 3 times since he finished runner-up for Rookie of the Year in voting in 2013. Good enough defense, and if he's hitting for solid contact that we've talked about many times, if he can find the gaps in Coors Field, that's going to be a benefit. I don't expect that slash line, especially with only it being 23 games, to really be the best sample size. But if he can recapture some of that magic, if he can take this approach in this offseason, knowing that he's not, he's got a starting position locked up, he's still contributing to a major league club. If he's able to do and mimic what he was able to do in Boston for that stretch, that's gonna be a good sign for the Rockies. I mean, for me, a good year out of Jose Iglesias is an improvement on all of those defensive stats. He doesn't need to be the best shortstop in the league. I just want to see improvement. I want to see less errors. I want to see more defensive runs saved, because the Rockies are accustomed to really good defense from the shortstop position. However, if he can bat 270, let's take a look at the line here one more time. I need to refresh it here while I have it up. 356, 406, 508. If he can bat something in like the 270, mid 300s, get that slugging up to 500. I think that would be, I don't know if it's going to get up that high, but a nice solid high 200s batting average. Maybe, if it'd be great if it gets to that 300, but I want to see that OBP and that slugging, stay in that 406, 508 range that we saw there. That's going to be great for the Rockies. That would be a nice little piece of offense. Again, someone whose focus is to just make contact and put the ball in play is going to be good for the Rockies lineup. I'm really excited to see if that stretch can continue. Someone whose focus on hitting and abilities are hit for contact are going to give the Rockies the opportunity to drive in those base runners and not have so many left on base. That's going to be something to look for in Iglesias here. Let's talk about there's nothing that's going to make you feel that much better about Trevor Story. And I've said on multiple podcasts that the door was still cracked open if Trevor Story wanted to return, if the Rockies were willing to pay, but it certainly hasn't seemed that way. I don't know. This move doesn't necessarily bring excitement. It's a name that has a reputation, and if can do a nice classic vet on another team, Rockies bounce back for a couple of years while Alan Trejo develops. It's not going to be the worst thing, but we'll have to see. We really have to see. There's a lot of stuff to be concerned about with Jose Iglesias in his play and his performance, especially those defensive metrics. That simply cannot happen. You cannot give the opposing teams, especially teams in your division, extra opportunities to beat you. Not on that pace, and not at where you play, and not at the places you have to play most of your games. I feel like I have been leaning a lot on Coors stuff, but understanding that Coors is more than just this home run narrative ballpark. It's a ballpark that really crushes extra opportunities that are given to, if you give a team, whether it be the Rockies or their opponent, an extra opportunity, Coors Field has the ability to crush you, not just because of a big home run, but because of wide outfields, because of gappers, because of things that really impact the game. So Jose Iglesias, if this is going to be a successful move, has to be a better defender. Has to. Let's take a look at the other position player the Rockies brought in, Scott Shedler, and we're heading over to roxpile.com, Colorado Rockies. Scott Shedler ready to put pass behind, focus on 2022 from Kevin Henry. Over the past 3 seasons, outfielder Scott Shedler has had to endure and overcome slow starts at the plate and injuries that have limited to just 130 Major League plate appearances. He admits he was still not 100% health-wise when MLB's lockout went into effect on December 1st. However, once the lockout was over, Shedler felt he was ready to contribute in a big way at the MLB level. That's when the Colorado Rockies came a-calling. Walking off the field after his first batting practice with his new team, Scott Shedler smiled and acknowledged he was ready for a fresh start with the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies were one of the first teams to call after the lockout ended, and they were very interested. They didn't really mess around. They gave me a good offer, and I just wanted to get into camp. I didn't really want to be sitting at home any longer. I'm really excited to be here. On the flip side, the Colorado Rockies are excited to see if Shedler can produce the kind of power he flashed when healthy with the Cincinnati Reds during the 2017 and 2018 campaigns. He mashed a combined 47 home runs and drove in 116 runs during those seasons. Production that the Rockies would gladly take in an outfield that needs more power and production in 2022. Those are numbers that Shedler knows everyone will look at as he tries to make a splash and earn playing time with the Rockies, but he's also ready to show the player he is in 2022 rather than the one he was seasons ago. You kind of rely on your past at that point, trying to land with a new team during the lockout. And I don't really want to rely on my past anymore, Shedler said. I want to get back to what that was. However, I'm just excited to be here and be in camp, and I feel great. I'm ready to put some work in and see how camp goes. Another move where you're sitting there and you do have to wonder, where does Shedler fit into this lineup? This outfield is incredibly crowded, but you can't deny if Shedler is able to get offensive production going, you have to make room at least for him to play somewhat. The Rockies need a person whose focus is power. However, Shedler himself is saying he's a different player. Maybe this is a sign of a different approach. Maybe this is a sign of something that he wants to do to keep himself more healthy and is kind of maybe talk to his trainers or things like that, of something that he can contribute while maybe not trying to be as big on the power. However, that's got to be what the Rockies went after Shedler for. This is just a move where I'm curious. I know the name. We heard that what he's potentially capable of producing, but where does he fit into this lineup? What are you doing with this? I know that we needed the veteran outfielder, but what's going to come of these other players? Does Scott Shedler take away from Sam Hilliard time? Does that take away from Tapia? Do we think Tapia is going to be moved? It's an interesting move when you sign an outfielder like Scott Shedler. If you sign a Chris Bryant, a Schwarber, a Castellanos, they're starters. Like, that is a guaranteed, like, here we are. We're going to go and put you in the starting lineup. That's a no-brainer. However, does Shedler in his 153 games in 3 seasons give you the confidence to put them in the everyday starting rotation? The starting lineup. I don't think so. The DH gives you something that's interesting, but if you think Shedler, if the reason you jump on the Scott Shedler train right away is thinking that he can contribute on offense, then you do have to get him in the game, and that is going to take away from some of these other outfielders you have to figure out. Again, there's a lot more on that piece from Fansided as well. It's just something that we do have to. This is a good point. He was the starting center fielder in 2019. Looked ready and looked but a slow start, bouncing back and forth, COVID season, and he's just bounced around. We'll see if the health can stay. We'll see what role Scott Shedler plays on this team. But if we can get someone that can come in and be a nice big bat for the Rockies and kind of mix up the lineup a little bit to introduce a little more power, maybe at the start of the series or maybe in a 4-game set, you bring them in for the back half of the games to try and win a couple of, win a rubber match or two and add to that. Because at the end of the day, I'm hoping that the DH is going to be Charlie Blackmon's place to shine, but Shedler could fill that role as well. I don't think you're necessarily looking at it. This wasn't a move to add to the defense of the Rockies outfield. This was a move to add a bat to the Rockies, and this is a player that has the potential for that Coors Field breakout, as we have seen multiple times with people as well. All right, the Rockies didn't just sign a couple of bats and a couple of position players. There's also new arms heading into the Rockies 2022 campaign. Let's talk about that, but first, got to tell you about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the number one spot, folks, and it is Tuesday. It's the number one spot. It's not just any Tuesday. March Madness is getting underway, I believe, today or real soon, and BetOnline is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs and info when it comes to college basketball and a lot more. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news for every single season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. We'll talk a little Rockies betting, I think. I'm going to head over there and see about what they got going on in terms of Rockies stuff over on BetOnline. I think that will be kind of a fun thing to do. But anyway, head to the website today, betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. That's betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. The Rockies also got a couple of arms here as they look to find the John Gray replacement and maybe something for that bullpen as well. We head back to Purple Row. Rockies signed right-handed pitchers Chad Kuhl and Alex Colome to major league deals from Evan Lang. The Colorado Rockies have signed more free agents in the last 3 days than they have in the last 3 years, with several non-splashy major league contracts. In addition to shortstop Jose Iglesias, the Rockies have also brought in reinforcements to their pitching staff. On Saturday, they signed right-handed reliever Alex Colome and followed that up on Monday afternoon by signing starting pitcher Chad Kuhl. Alex Colome is interesting in addition to the Rockies bullpen as an immediate favorite for the closing role. Originally from the Tampa Bay Rays, Colome posted a 1.9 ERA season with an all-star nod in 2016. He followed it up in 2017 with a league-leading 47-save season. The Rays traded him to the Seattle Mariners in 2018, who in turn traded him to the Chicago White Sox. Colome had 2 strong seasons in the South Side. In 2019, he finished the season with 30 saves and an ERA of 2.80. And in the shortened 2020 campaign, he flashed an ERA of 0.81 with 12 saves in 21 appearances. Colome spent 2021 with the Minnesota Twins and had a down year by his standards with an ERA of 4.15, his first career season with an ERA over 4. However, this still places him over both Rockies closers that season. So here we go. This is something that you do need to be encouraged by. This is now opens up and allows the Rockies to hopefully have a closer that can come in and shut the door and allow these pitchers that do have something to bring to the bullpen and the relieving core, like your Estevez. Woo, excuse me. Your Carlos Estevez's. And now Daniel Bard doesn't have to be a closer. And as we've talked about before, springtime. Here we go. The Rockies now can use him, I think, in a more effective way, which will be a nice middle reliever role. I think Daniel Bard could have a nice, successful role in the middle of games and help the Rockies get through and just come in through if he's got his sharp stuff, really shut the door on a couple of innings for some people, only go in there and not have to worry about coming in on the game on the line. The Rockies can turn to someone who has multiple closing experience, has experience closing in big situations and getting national recognition. It's tough. It's going to be tough to bounce back from a down year pitching where the Rockies do. But if you're a closer and you're confident in your stuff, you should just feel better that you're coming in there and able to use what you do. And it doesn't matter where you're thrown. You should be able to come in and get those 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th to shut the door, or the top of the 9th, whatever it may be, to shut the door for the Rockies and get the win. This is probably my favorite move out of the ones that we've seen so far. And I'm going to make sure I'm refreshing Twitter as I'm still recording live to make sure that I haven't missed anything. But nope, nothing yet at the moment. However, so back to what we were talking about. Colome is going to be good. It's going to be interesting. And again, if a down year for him is better than the Rockies closers last year, then that is an improvement in the bullpen. And we should hopefully see him able to iron things out, and it'd be really great for the Rockies to have someone to shut the door and win those close games. Because again, the Rockies would have been a much better team last year if they were able to just turn to their bullpen in confidence and have them actually do something to benefit and shut the door and keep teams off balance and win those close games. The Rockies lost a lot of games at the end in the back half of games last year on the back of the bullpen. So This should probably be the move that's most interesting. 2-pitch mix, 4-seam fastball and a cutter. He can throw a changeup, but he hasn't in several seasons. And strikeout percentage of 22.3 in 2021, but is at a ground ball contact type of guy, which hopefully with Rockies' good defense, that should be pretty good. The Rockies likely think his skills will play well with the dangerous confines of Coors Field. All right, again, we go back to Purple Rose. Rockies signed right-handed pitchers Chad Kuhl and Alex Colome. I hope I'm getting those name rights. And once I hear them, I will make sure and guarantee that is going to be something. I want to make sure I'm perfect on my names. The Rockies have also signed right-handed starting pitcher Chad Cole to a one-year deal worth $3 million and performance bonuses. Cole was a 9th-round pick in 2013 draft with the Pittsburgh Pirates and spent the last 5 seasons on their big league roster, working mostly as a back-of-the-rotation starter. Cole has a career ERA of 4.44 over 100 games and 84 starts. He works a 5-pitch mix of four-seam fastballs, sitting mid-90s, a slider, changeup, sinker, and curveball. Like Colome and Rockies ace German Marquez, Cole's 4-seam fastball has a low spin rate that can play well at Coors Field. Despite the solid fastball, his primary pitch is a slider sitting in the high 80s with solid movement. Per Baseball Savant, Cole's slider averages 32.2 inches in vertical drop with 1.8 inches in horizontal break. Cole is also a strong ground ball pitcher with a ground ball percentage of 45.3 in 2021. With a rotation spot vacated by John Gray's departure, Cole will likely compete with Peter Lambert and Ryan Rollison for a back-end rotation spot. If he doesn't earn the starting role, the Rockies can also deploy him out of the bullpen. Again, this is fine. This is not something. John Gray was the move here, folks. This move doesn't make me feel better about losing John Gray. John Gray was the move here, and then you bring this guy in to be your 5th if you're not confident in Peter Lambert or Ryan Rollison. So now it's clear, though, it's shaping up to be that the Rockies rotation, the end of it will be Cole, and then I would say I'm more confident in it being this guy that's already been everyday starter is going to get the bump first, and then you just decide between Lambert and Rollison. But you're probably going to put both of them if they don't. You're going to pick one or the other. That's going to be the end of the Rockies rotation. I think that you're not going to be able to turn to the 2 young guns just yet for both of those spots over a vet at the start of the season. That could change depending on Cole's performance. So, overall, did the Rockies get better? Can we answer that question? Well, we will do just that in just a second. But before we do that, stay up to date with all the things going on in the prospect world with Locked On MLB Prospects. You heard how wonderful host Lindsey Crosby is and how great he is. But after you make Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day, go check out the Locked On MLB's Prospect podcast. And while you listen to it, enjoy a Built Bar while you do. Built Bars are the bar for you if you're looking for that snack replacement. If you're looking for something that you still need a little pick-me-up in the afternoon, but you're sick of relying on the candy bar, on those chips, on those other things that, aren't the best for you, and there are better options for you like Built Bar. They even got the first ever protein-infused puff, the Built Bar Puffs are the protein-infused marshmallow, I should say, which are the Built Bar Puffs. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. That includes the puffs, and they're low-calorie, high-protein. And you can see for yourself. Go to Built.com and scroll down to the macro charts. You'll be blown away by the high-protein, low-calorie, high-fiber, low-carb bars. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So many delicious flavors for you to check out, including the mint brownie, coconut almond, and so much more. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. That's 15% off your order at Built.com when you use the promo code LOCKED15. So, are the Colorado Rockies better now on March 15th, 2022 than they were when the lockout ended? They're in a better spot. I think the Rockies making a move and bringing in a veteran shortstop that has defensive potential is fine, but it comes at the risk of coming off of the worst season of his career and being the last in terms of defensive production in all, for simplification of the numbers there. A starting pitcher that doesn't do much, but doesn't really make me more excited than if I would have John Gray. I'd much rather have John Gray. And 2 other players that, that have to kind of prove themselves. I mean, in Shedler and Cole, honestly. I mean, does he get that starting spot anyway? I think the Rockies, I think the Rockies, we could sit here and confidently say they'd be better if they weren't facing the John Gray situation. The Trevor Story one we knew, and I want to give Iglesias the benefit of the doubt because we have seen him be an elite player, and Colorado does have the ability to have people have a couple of more bounce back seasons and buy some time for Alan Trejo. Sure, that's fine. I just don't think the Rockies are necessarily a better team without John Gray and Trevor Story on the line in the lineup. Now, that could change. If Chris Bryant's on the team and with these moves, there might be a way to argue that the Rockies are better because of the way they've addressed other areas of their roster instead of, the losing of two productive players. But if I had to say, do I think the Rockies are in a better position than they were after the lockout ended, but I don't think the Rockies are going to be a better team in 2022 because of these moves and because of the lack of moves that they made. I think this John Gray situation is going to prove to be a bigger thorn in the side than the Rockies. However, there's enough interest and enough reason that you can actually see why the Rockies made these moves that you do want to at least kind of give at least somewhat of a benefit of the doubt. But to answer the question, did the Rockies get better? It's kind of is yes and no. The Rockies did get better than the situation they found themselves in when the lockout ended. And at the end of 2022 or 2021, actually, not really at the end of 2021. Let me rephrase that. At the end of the lockout. But the Rockies, I don't think, are better than they were in 2021 with these moves. We'll see what happens if the Rockies are actually able to sign Chris Bryant. And if they do, we'll be breaking it down first here on Locked On Rockies. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on the Twitter sphere at LO Rockies. You can follow me at Paul Holden 33. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Go make Locked On Bets your second listen of the day and win some money with our friends over there at Locked On Bets. Go leave a review, please, or subscribe. All that stuff is a huge help to us here at the Locked On Rockies podcast. Games start here in just a couple of days. Can't wait to talk more Rockies baseball and see them out on the field in person. Well, at some point. I wish I could make it down to spring training. But folks, we'll be talking about the Rockies all season. We are back to 5 episodes a week starting next week. This is our last week of 3 episodes a week. We will be back in action, 5 podcasts a week through the baseball season starting next Monday. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies.